Hello, friends. How are you? How's things? How's life? How's stuff? Everything here is good. Uh, yeah, tired. Very tired. If you missed the announcement yesterday, we had a baby girl on Sunday. My wife gave birth to my youngest, who is now a newborn, and I have to get used to calling my 16-year-old my youngest. She's my middle child now. So, related to all of that, I thought I would tell you a story because there was a little bit of this event showed a little bit of personal growth, and I like talking about that here. So it's my third child. This is only the second time I was in the delivery room and present for the birth of the child, and that goes back to my first child, Roland, my oldest. She's turning 21. She was born in 2004, so I was 25 years old, full of piss and vinegar and bravado and probably manic at the time. I feel like I was pretty manic. I was on a multi-year high at that time, and I thought a lot of myself. A lot of that came from being a Marine, being successful, like right out of that, making good money, all that kind of stuff. And so when Roland was born, I was pretty confident that it was just like a nothing event. I've gone through some personal hell, some fighting, and learned to control emotions under pressure. I've hunted, I've gutted deer. Like, how bad can this be? And so going into the birth of Roland, it went south pretty quickly. It went south as soon as her mom got the epidural. For that event, I was allowed to be behind, and as soon as I saw them start to put the tubing in her spine, I almost collapsed. I sat down. I got super lightheaded, and I was like, "I'm going to go ahead and sit down." And I sat down, and they were like, "Do we need the smelling salts?" I said, "No, give me a second." But it was close. I got tunnel vision, all that stuff, and that was bad. So that was the start of it, and then and during the actual birth, uh, I was a wreck. I was a complete mess. I sat in a rocking chair to the side of the bed. My sister was in the room. My niece was in the room. Doctors, nurses, and I could not deal with it well. I just rocked, held my ears like her mom was screaming and I was screaming, and there was just a whole lot of like empathy and like just I still get overwhelmed like if I hear my children get hurt or something that triggers some sort of like deep empathetic response to me. And that's kind of what was going on there. But it was a full on panic attack. It was a full on, I cannot do this panic attack. And it was horrific. And so I was told I would not be allowed in the room when my middle child was born. So when Kai was born, I was in the lobby coloring with Roland. We brought coloring books and we just stayed out in the lobby and waited for sister to get here. So when Malia got pregnant, I made sure she was fully aware of the story. I've told her the story. My sisters told her the story. My niece has told her the story. My mom is like everybody has told her the story. Like he didn't do this. He didn't handle this very well. And she's like, that's fine. He's going to this time. And she told me that. She's like, you will be there for me. And I said, okay. I was honestly nervous. Like, I'm 21 years older, but I was honestly, pretty nervous going into it. So I told you yesterday the drive to the hospital was really nice. The whole time there was fine. We got there at 11 p.m. on Friday. It wasn't until 9 p.m. on Saturday that things started to happen. She felt her water break a little bit. That's not true. She got her epidural in the afternoon of Saturday. She started to have painful contractions in the afternoon of Saturday, so she got the epidural then. For this one, I was not allowed to be behind her, and I wouldn't have been regardless. But they considered that a sterile area and made everybody go to the other side. Only the doctor or the anesthesiologist was allowed back there. And I just kind of sat in front of her, held her hands, and she like kind of set her head on top of me. She cried a lot, and I got through that without problem. Like it wasn't even remotely an issue for me, and that felt really good because I was honestly worried. Like here we are back at this spot. Am I not going to be able to hold it together for my wife? But I did, and I was like, well, and so we talked about it. Like that was actually really good. I had no reaction. It was just solidarity for her. And so then at one point, so I sat down in the chair, like this is gonna be a while, like cool. I sat down in the chair and I played video games for most of the afternoon. Watched videos on my phone. I just sat and waited. By this point, I think the last thing I had eaten, yeah, I had had some pepperoni roll or something. I went and got some gas station food or something like that. So I had eaten a little bit, not a lot. I hadn't had a whole lot of fluids. And at some point, I think it was around 10 o'clock or something like that, they decided to break her water. She had already lost a little bit. She was leaking, but her water hadn't fully broken. And they were saying that they couldn't tell where the cervix was because the water sac was pushing through. So they wanted to break her water, and she said, yeah. So she asked me to hold her hand and like hold her head and like pet her hair. So I jumped up and leaned over the bed and started doing that, and then I got really lightheaded. And it was interesting because it wasn't about the procedure. Like that wasn't a problem at all. It wasn't a panic attack. It wasn't. It was just. I think I was just dehydrated, locked knees, bent over a bed, just got really dizzy. The nurses all laughed, of course. There's a reason why in all the old movies and stuff like men aren't allowed in the delivery room, and they were like, "Yeah, don't worry, you're fine." And so I sat back down. They went and got me some grape juice and a pack of crackers or something like that, peanut butter crackers, just to make sure I was fine. But that was weird. That was really, and I told, we talked about that because, this is still hours before the baby was born. We got to talk about that. And I said, yeah, that wasn't a panic attack. It was just literally, like, I think I just jumped up too fast, lost, bent over a bed, just hadn't slept in 2 days, whatever. So I said, when the baby's coming, I'm just going to sit beside you because standing up with my back anyway, I can't really lean over a bed while she's giving birth. So I said, I'm just going to pull the chair up and sit here and I'll pet your hair or hold your hands, whatever you need to do. She said, that'd be great. So, she started going into actual like pushing labor at 3:30ish in the morning on Sunday morning, and pushed for 3 hours before the baby was born, and it went fine. It went absolutely fine. I never got upset. I never felt like my heart was racing. Nothing. Never got. It was fine, and a lot of it has to do with her. Like she didn't. She says she didn't handle it well. I think she handled it amazing. Like by comparison, she didn't scream. She didn't. She just did what the doctor told her to do. Like sit up, let's push, grab your legs, whatever, squeeze, push, and she did those things. She grunted a little bit when that happened, but for the most part, there was no screaming, yelling. There was no panic. It was just straight up, we're gonna have a baby, and she just did the work. And I watched the baby come out some, like from the backside, like from over her belly. I didn't go around it. Like that's kind of nasty. I did later. I went around and looked at the placenta and stuff just because why not? But it was actually a really wonderful experience for us, like to bond, I guess, because it was like the whole event was a pretty calm, stress-free, emotionless. There wasn't a bunch of "I hate you for this." What have you done to me? None of that movie trope stuff. There was no resentment or no big demands. It was just like, be here for me, take care of me, make sure we get through this. There was some crying, of course. She cried a good. I didn't. I don't think I cried. She cried a few times because she started to get scared of certain parts of the procedure, that kind of stuff. But it was really interesting to see the difference between me then and me now. And I think that me now knows I'm probably on the spectrum. I know that being in crowded spaces with loud volume and lots of kind of background noise, not, I can't handle that very well. I don't do that well at all. I do know that about myself. And so maybe that's helped a little bit over the years because there was definitely a lot of that going on in the delivery room when Roland was born. But I don't know. I don't know where the strength came from, but I did not panic. And that feels good because I have often said when fight or flight kicks in, I'm a flyer. I don't fight. I've always felt guilty about that, but that's just who I've been for most of my life, and maybe that's changing. Maybe there's something different going on in my world. Maybe the bullying that I experienced as a child has started to pass, and I'm not that person anymore. I don't know. But thought I'd tell you the story anyway. It was a good experience, like I said, and it's a funny experience. It's at the time it was terrible to talk about my first child's birth. Now I think it's a good family story about how I didn't handle it and how I thought I was hot shit, and I was not. I was terrible. Okay, there you go. That's a birth story. Got questions, comments? Thank you everybody for reaching out and saying congratulations. I very much appreciate that. It was very warm and welcoming, and I love you all. Thank you. Thank you for watching the video. Please like it. Please leave a comment, leave a question, something to talk about, all that sort of stuff. Please like, please subscribe. Please continue to subscribe and share with others, because we are growing, and I like that a lot. I'll see you again tomorrow. Today's 1,000 plus little things happy, successful people do differently. We are learning. We're learning that this is a problem. 20 things to stop doing to others. Number 13, stop being defensive. Just because someone sees something different in you doesn't mean either one of you is wrong. Keep an open mind, otherwise you'll never discover anything new. I would say that is the number one reason my previous marriage fell apart. I think we were both defensive, and that is not a recipe for success.